to speak, pretend that I'm dreaming. I smell your breath, not listening, but I still hear you screaming. Going under. One step away till you hear what I'm saying. Sounds like thunder. And the clouds are closing in. You see, I know this, but the last days in real life I've noticed. Losing focus, breaking up from our life as we know it. If someone had told me that I will take off and find something greener, greener than gold.
Okay, Fargo's going to explain to you what happened.
It's raining and windy.
So, we can't walk in it. I'm afraid a lightning bolt's going to come down.
I'm going to be wet.
And I only film lightning bolts. I don't, did I say boats? I only film lightning bolts. I don't go out in them and
I'm trying
walk
to catch it.
under them. He wants to catch one. I don't really think that's what you want. So we're going to forego the walk and, yeah, enjoy the rain.
Get coffee.
And somebody's going to get coffee. See you guys later. Okay, guys, it's time to go. The sun's gonna pop out or not. It's been raining all day. Right now I've got the phone propped up against the GoPro because I'm getting a time lapse. I hope it turns out good because this sky has dark clouds in it and patches of blue. I'm just looking to see that it's still recording. Yes, it is. Right now, the time lapses that I've been doing lately of the clouds have been one shot every 5 seconds. I think that's pretty good for clouds that are kind of moving but not terribly fast and not terribly slow. You know how we were talking about passengers yesterday? Well, I just want to say, yes, I was thinking about kids too. In the movie, I was really expecting that at the end of the 88-year run, that these passengers would have kids that would greet the captain at the end. Well, I don't know. I'm trying not to spoil it for anybody who hasn't seen it, but here's the thing. If you were faced with that, I mean, who knows? Maybe they did have kids and we just don't know about it. It's kind of an open-ended thing, let's just say. So I was thinking, if you were faced with being on this spaceship for 88 years, just two of you awake, while all the other 5,000 plus people were still sleeping, would you have kids? Knowing that you're never going to get to the planet that the whole trip is about, you're never going to get there. So you're going to live out the duration of your life on this spaceship, and that's pretty much it, with this one other person. One other person. Would it be wise to have kids? Because those kids are going to grow up and not have partners and not have a full life. They could probably do like a series on Netflix or something, or the Sci-Fi channel, and carry on with that story. It could be interesting. Maybe it would be fun to see what the generations came up with on their planets. But I guess it's not like all sci-fi. Like most sci-fi, they can travel across a galaxy and still see each other. They're not like, people aren't like dead. They can go back and forth across the galaxy and people are still the same age. So in this movie, you really couldn't do that. I was reading some sort of review about it, how most of the science holds up in this movie. And I think there was some sort of comparison to Interstellar, how they were traveling through a wormhole, which made it a little bit different, but still they were fighting against time. You know, either way, somebody's aging on the other end, and when you get back, they're going to be old or dead. What a depressing thought that is, though. If there's anybody that you ever cared about, you would want them to at least go with you. You wouldn't want to leave them behind and just to get older and die like that. I always thought I would probably want to travel in space, but there is that problem with time. If there was some way that you could go from place to place and not waste so much of the time, well, you know, basically time travel. You would have to have some kind of time travel. As it was, in the movie Passengers, they were only going, I think it was half the speed of light. I'm not really sure. And as we know, light takes a long time to travel across the universe. If you see a star in the sky now, that star might not even exist anymore. That was something I read about Betelgeuse or Betelgeuse, whatever you want to call it, the star that's in Orion. Was that one day it's going to go supernova, and the light from it is going to be as bright as the moon. But when we see it in that brightness, it's already going to be over. Supernova will already have been over for a very long time. So it's kind of hard to wrap your head around it when you think about it. Even if we can go the speed of light, it's just not enough, is it? There has to be another way if we're going to travel like they do in the movies. It doesn't really make sense. I don't know. How fast do they go when they go warp 5? I don't know. How fast is that? That's something to think about as we head for the stars. They probably would have to build the Starship Enterprise, which I've actually heard there are plans to do. So they're going to have to build a Starship Enterprise that is self-sustaining, that people have their families on this thing, and that there's enough people that you could sustain this ship for a long period of time and possibly generations, so they could go and see other places. At least they'll know something about the universe. Maybe they could beam back information, although it would take many years to get back to Earth if they got far enough away from Earth. Either way, wouldn't that be fascinating, though? Talk about the unknown. I mean, already there are unknown things on this planet. I can't even imagine what there might be out there in the universe. It's gotta be pretty amazing, though. Anyway, I know I'm rambling on about science and space, but it's one of my passions. Since I was a little kid, I've always been fascinated with space and the stars and planets, moons, and all of that. Something that in some way could unite us, just to realize that we are pretty small and we really need to take care of this Earth that we have. Take better care of it, because we might not be able to get somewhere else as nice as this. This is pretty good. In this solar system, this is it, people. You're not getting a second chance, so probably need to take care of this Earth that we have. So yeah, if there's any other Earth-like planets out there in the universe, that would be really fascinating to be able to at least observe those if we can't get to them. Just see how other beings might be doing it. That just makes me think how sad it is that there are people that still believe, or for some reason have come to believe, that the Earth is flat. What? It's ridiculous. That is like taking all of the science that has been gleaned over the years and put into books and put into, some type of media for us to learn about, You take all of that science and just throw it out the window. It's like people have dedicated their lives to studying this stuff. Some have given their lives to fly out into Earth's orbit and study this stuff. And you really, really in your mind believe that the Earth is flat? I'm baffled by that. That is just astonishing. Oh my goodness. That's spitting in the faces of the astronauts. Are you seriously wanting to do that? You know, I try to understand why people think the way they do, but that one, you got me. I don't get that one at all. Why would you want to go that far back in time to believe something as ludicrous as that? It just doesn't even make sense. If you sat and thought about it, how does that make any sense at all? So what you're basically saying is that every photograph that NASA has of the Earth and the Moon and all the planets, everything that Hubble has been doing is all false? It's not real? Why would they do that? Why would they waste millions of dollars just to sell you a hoax like that? What is the gain of telling people that the Earth is round if it's not really round? Why would they do that? It doesn't even make sense. Okay, I haven't really studied up on this whole flat Earth thing. I'm not even going to call it a theory because it's just absurd. I haven't studied up on it, but because it's just a flippin' waste of time is what it is. But I guess they have their reasons why that seems more plausible than the Earth being round. Really though? I mean, you need to tell that to the people that fly airplanes. If you're going in airplanes somewhere, you ought to tell that pilot the Earth is flat. Why are you flying that way? Just, come on, people. I can't deal with it. I just can't even deal with it. It just is so ridiculous. I don't mean to laugh at people's beliefs or whatever, but come on, that one's just really absurd. I think it's just almost offensive because people have tried so hard to tell the truth about the Earth, and now we're supposed to accept when people are completely telling a false thing. Seriously, there's an attack on science and there's some fools going around putting up what appear to be legitimate websites about flat Earth and all these ridiculous conspiracies. I'm just pretty offended by it, that's all. I'm not really ranting about it, but I just can't fathom why would you... Okay, I'm gonna let it go. It doesn't really matter anyway what that person believes. They're not responsible for flying airplanes, and they're certainly not going to be teaching children about anything because they obviously don't know a lot of things. Sorry. You know what? I'm not going to sit here and be politically correct. You may think I'm a tree-hugging, bleeding-heart liberal, but I'm not that kind of liberal. I'm not one of those people that are just like, okay, you just believe what you believe. I'm not going to tolerate that kind of foolishness. I can't help it. It's just craziest bunch of nonsense. What? I don't even know. I remember there was a time when I was younger, much younger, and I was talking to some people that I had read an article. I mean, I was just like talking to the wrong people. These people don't. There's certain people that just don't give a hoot about science or any articles that you've read or whatever. But it was something I was interested in. And I was talking about gravity. And I had read an article that said that every particle, probably with a few exceptions, but that particles have some amount of gravity. So I said I thought that was interesting. I don't know where I read that. Popular Science, I don't know where I read it. Because back then I didn't have access to the internet, so I was reading books and magazines, whatever I could get my hands on, and it was difficult to get my hands on things like that because of the situation that I was in at the time. But I did happen to come across an article that particles have gravity, like everything has some amount of gravity. I was talking about that, and then they thought I was totally crazy for coming up with that, and I said, no, I read it somewhere. And they're like, where did you read that? And I was like, books, magazines, I don't know. And then I said, well, like how the moon affects the earth and the tides, and they laughed at me in my face and said that was the most absurd thing they'd ever heard of, that the moon has any effect on the earth at all, and that it has an effect on the tides in the ocean and large lakes or whatever. And they laughed at me in my face, and I was like, I thought that was just common knowledge. And it really kind of frightens me a little bit to know that people are going through school not learning something as basic as that you just don't have any grasp or understanding of the earth at all, or just nature in general. And that is kind of scary, because these are the same people that don't believe that global warming is caused in any way by people. It's like they don't even want to learn. It's not that the information is not out there. It's not that people aren't telling you the truth and showing you proof. It's that they don't care to learn about it. They don't want to know about it. They already think they're right about it. How do you reach people like that? I guess that's one of the great challenges, is to get people on board with wanting to learn about this stuff so that they'll know, and that generations later, maybe we can make some corrections and fix some of these problems that we're having. I always thought that maybe when they started seeing animals disappearing off the face of the earth that we are so used to seeing. When you're a little kid and you see books that have elephants and giraffes and tigers and lions in it, those are like your standard animals, your go-to animals. I mean, there's been a lot of animals that we didn't really know that much about that have gone extinct. And we didn't really know much about them to begin with. And they weren't sort of characterized almost with human-like qualities in cartoons and books and things like that. So since those animals weren't portrayed that way in books, you sort of don't think about those. But what if the ones that you're used to disappeared from the planet just suddenly? Because I mean, what's going on right now, scientists believe we're in, I believe it's the 6th mass extinction, which means animals are dying off and vanishing from the planet at a higher rate than is normal for their species. So what if that happens with animals that you're used to seeing? Elephants, giraffe, tigers, lions. What if that happens? How are you going to feel about that? Will you start to take notice of what's going on the planet right now, and how people are the cause of a lot of the problems? Deforestation, pollution of air and water. What does it take? What does it really take? And I sort of think when people become isolated to the town that they grew up in, or they've never really traveled outside of their state, for instance, or their country, they've never really seen how small the world really is, and how something that we're doing could affect the whole planet. I think you just don't have an understanding of it, that it's not really as big as you think it is, and everything you're doing can have an effect. It builds up over time, and yes, it will affect the planet. How do you convince people of that? Well, I should hope with the internet that maybe that will help educate people. But then you've got the websites with the flat earth people. I just can't. Anyway, I have talked for 34 minutes. I need to stop myself. Obviously, this video is going to get edited down considerably. If this time lapse that I'm taking right now turns out, I'm going to post it along with this video. It'll be short. These time lapses, when your intervals are one shot every 5 seconds, that video is not going to be very long, because I'm only going to be recording the time lapse for about an hour, maybe a little bit less than an hour. That video is not even going to be a minute long, I don't think. I'm gonna let you guys go. Today is Friday. That means the blue party lights are going on and there might be some gaming happening. Anyway, I better get off of here. I've been talking way too long. Yeah, if you stuck with me through all of this rambling, I really do appreciate you. This is how I drive my family crazy. Except for Sarah, she likes to talk like this. And Lauren does too, but she doesn't live here right now. I hope she comes back. Come back, Lauren. We miss you. I like chatting with you. But Sarah, she likes to talk about science, and we can talk for hours. That's so much fun. That's how I was with my dad and my brother. We would talk for hours about science. Thank you for sticking with me if you're still here. You guys, I hope you have a great day or night or whatever it is, wherever you are. I hope it's a good one. Thank you so much for watching and for subscribing. You guys take care out there, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.
To lose my mind, I'm going crazy. Lately I've been feeling every day's the same. So I'm just gonna close my eyes and pretend that I'm not here. 'Cause I just wanna